Good morning. The program has sort of expanded. We have a lot of speakers this morning, so unfortunately, Jeff, we're going to ask you to hold your tidbits because I know. Only for the sake of really completing a full program, because we have a lot of speakers that have a lot to say. Oh dear. Is everybody, all the speakers are here? Okay. We have a kind of an abbreviated audience this morning. I think there was a hint that the schools would close, and that is always when we cancel our program. Well, yesterday I got a lot of frantic emails about, are we going to have the program? And our policy, for those of you who are here, is that we only cancel a program if the schools are closed. We sort of base our both our calendar and that decision on the school's decision. Schools were not closed. We did not cancel. We are all here for a very exciting program. I'm going to turn the program over to Christy, who will introduce everyone.
Okay. I have a short note. Okay. Well, that's figurative. Good morning. Today we're here discussing after-school care options in our community. Is this a nice perk or essential for young families? I have with me today Anne-Marie Turone of KEEPS. She was the former director for 20 years, 30 years? 30 years, look at that. Noreen Corcoran, who's our present director since 2013. We have Susan Riley, who's the director of the Mamaroneck Public Library. Laura Eckley, who's the director of the Larchmont Library. And we also have Nicole Mazuki, who's the director of the Westchester County Child Care Council. And we also have with us Lindsay Tiernan, who's the Assistant Director of Provider Services for the Westchester Child Care Council. So today we were beginning to discuss this topic, and it brought up all of the options that we have in the community and how has child care changed, what do we have in this community, how does it operate, what are the hours of operation, rates, funding, demographics, who's using it. We might be surprised when we see who relies upon this essential service. I did some online research to prepare for this, and even I actually found I changed some ideas that I had. I looked up on city data. If anyone's not familiar with that, I've learned, I am the oldest of 3 siblings, so I am the elder person in my family, and my younger sibling said, when I moved to my community, I look up on city data to see the profile of the community. I said, wow, this is really cool, so I pulled it up. And you can see all sorts of stuff based upon statistics, news feeds, that is compiled about any different community. But what I found interesting is there are forums that people can ask questions. And some of the top forums that are asked about, not surprising, commuting times, questions about the schools. And one of the questions for Mamaroneck said, I'm looking for daycare in Mamaroneck for a 6-month-old. So it is an issue that comes up for people looking for a community to see if certain services are available. Today we are limiting our discussions to after-school care, not care for younger children who are preschool aged. But it still is important to see how that works in our community. Another interesting thing, Forbes and other magazines do big profiles, where's the best place to live. So I looked at some of those, and what I found interesting was they rate what makes up a good community on a bunch of factors. How much is the housing costs, again, commuting options, health care and safety, local hospitals, pediatricians. But what I found very interesting, I looked up on Wallet Hub, that was one, and they did address childcare, was it available in the community, but it only got half a point out of 5 for its subcategory. So they didn't deem it that high of a requirement. So I found that interesting. We did not have anyone come from the school today because we have obviously 5 panel members, which is a lot to hear, but I just wanted to show everyone there's what I came out of this understanding is that there's a greater expectation of things for our children to do, which is what the library can address and what the libraries can address and what they offer. But I just wanted to show you, so this is just for Mamaroneck Avenue School, And these are the spring clubs after school. Look at this. They have things being offered by the Westchester Children's Museum. There's Lego, gadgets and gizmos. They can take piano. There's acting classes. This is a huge amount of options that children have. So one component of this is that our expectations as to what our children should be doing in after school has changed. It's not just going home with the babysitter or going to one program. There might be tutoring, sports. They do a lot. They do more than us. So it's something that is a factor here. So I'm going to turn the mic over, and the one person who's missing here today is Barbara, who runs Children's Corners. Her program, her morning program, runs now. So if I have time at the end, she gave me all the information on her program, and I will say that for her, but she was hoping she could stop by at the end. But Children's Corner runs the morning program for all the grammar schools and the after-school program for Central, Murray, and Chatsworth. And she's done that for 20 years? 20 years, and she had my oldest daughter, so it was a pleasure to talk to her, and she does a great job, but she gave me all the information. So I'll turn the mic over, and if we have time, I'll run through that. So I guess we'll just, do you want to hold this, or do you want me to put it in front of you? Okay, you got that. Yeah, I have a funny story about the same club.
I'm good. Okay. Hi, good morning. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Anne Marie Tironi, and I can. They think I should stand because I'm so short. Is that why? All right. Okay. I was the director of the Keeps After School program from when it started in 1983, and I retired at the end of 2012. I just want to define what after-school programs are. They're really school-age programs because they're now before school, they are after school, they are during half-days when school is closed for half-days, and they also do holiday programs when school is closed for various holidays. There's an importance of after-school programs because they bring a wide range of benefits to children, families, and the community. Studies have been done to show that children in after-school programs, there's a boost in academic performance, it reduces risky behaviors, it promotes good physical health, and it provides a safe, structured environment for working parents. Just want to give you a little brief history about after-school care. It essentially started in the 1980s. And Keeps itself started in 1983, and at that time, through the help of the Child Care Council, there were only about 5 programs in Westchester County. And the director of the Child Care Council, because we had been in touch with her for setting up our programs, let us all get in contact with each other. And we started to meet regularly to help each other out because there really was not too much available to guide people at that time who were opening up after-school programs. So in 1984, we formed the School Age Directors Network, which is the Westchester County organization that is still in existence today, with monthly meetings as a support group for school-age directors. In 1987, a national organization was formed, and in 1996, a New York State organization was formed, and in 1997, the Institute for School-Age Childcare was formed for Westchester County, and it was handled under the direction of the Child Care Council of Westchester. Okay, after-school programs are governed by the New York State Office of Children and Family Services, which has regulations to guide how after-school programs should be structured and how they should be run. And it includes so many important features to ensure that programs are running a safe and happy environment for children. There's a lengthy process with inspections, and it is done on a regular basis, and your registration has to be renewed now every 4 years. What do parents look for in an after-school program? First of all, they want a safe environment where children can be happy, and if they ask the main question, is your program registered, then a lot of their other questions are answered because it means it has been inspected for health, it has been inspected for fire safety and so forth. So having that little label of registered by New York State Office of Children and Family Services guarantees parents that it is a good, safe program for their children. Parents also want to know if this is going to be affordable for them. For example, our program, if you average it out, costs about $8 an hour, correct?
Yeah.
So they also need flexibility, because as you saw, Christy showed you all the different clubs that come up at school and different activities. So if a child wants to join that, they want to know that they can change their child's schedule for that period of time, and we always try to accommodate that. They also need operating hours that make them work. After-school clubs are great, and it's a great enrichment for children, but if you're a parent who can't get there at 4 o'clock to pick them up, that doesn't fully satisfy your need. So most parents are looking for programs that are open until 6 or 6:30. Some of the challenges for after-school programs. Transportation is a biggie for us. We can run a great program, but if we can't get the children there, it doesn't work. So the whole busing situation is very costly, and it is a very big part of our budget every year. Quality space, that's really important. Very often, after-school programs who are in what we call shared space are not in such great locations. They're in the cafeteria, they're in the gym, and every day when they go in, they have to set up. We are very fortunate that we have dedicated space where we are now at St. Thomas's Church. We have 3 classrooms with different activities in the classrooms, and it is a place where children can have ongoing activities. They don't have to break down and set up every day and put things away. Maureen is going to talk a lot more about that. The other thing is budgets. Having a good cash flow is tough. Our revenue basically comes in on a monthly basis. Parents pay tuition on a monthly basis, and we always have obligations that we have to meet every month like everybody else. We have to pay rent, we have to pay transportation, we have to pay salaries. That just goes on continuously. However, we have chosen to service many children who are on Department of Social Service subsidies. Now with Department of Social Service subsidies, there's a 2 to 3 month lag in reimbursement. So if a child has been attending our program from September, October, November, we might not have gotten paid for any of those months yet. So that's a big hole in our ongoing cash flow. Also, they do not pay what our rate is. So we have to have these children in our program, we have to accept what they pay, and we do. So that causes another problem with cash flow. And that gets to our last major challenge that I want to talk about is fundraising. In order to keep our program operating and to keep it affordable to parents, we are obliged to do serious fundraising. And we are fundraising from private organizations, and we're now looking at some corporate sponsors for the program as well. And that's about it.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Sorry, my voice is a little gone. I've been suffering bronchitis. It's just one of the hazards of working with kids. I started in PEEPS in 1997 as a college student with the ambitions of becoming a police officer. I started to work with Anne-Marie and just fell in love with working with kids and working with families and knowing that you're an integral part of a child's educational experience. I got called for the Village of Mamaroneck Police Department, which is a dream job, and turned it down when Anne-Marie basically told me that she thought this was where my path was. And I'm coming on 20 years working in childcare. I don't feel old enough. But basically, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what the KEEPS program is and what makes us different from some other after-school programs. Right now, our program, we can offer full-time, part-time, drop-in care for those parents who just want to back up. God forbid they got called for jury duty or something like that, that they know that there's somebody guaranteed to pick up their child. Their child will be safely brought to a secure, comfortable after-school program and cared for like their own children. Right now, as Anne-Marie said, we're about $520 a month for 5 days a week. Comes to a little bit over $8 an hour, and that's a bargain. I don't know if anyone has ever tried to get babysitters these days. They're about $15 to $20 an hour. That's if you want somebody who's going to care very well for your child. Right now, 25% of our children are on subsidies, which means they are our community's neediest children. We have several children who do, have lunch and breakfast given to them by the schools, and we make sure those kids always have a healthy snack. If they're still hungry, We give them food. If we know that kids are suffering, we have several families that really didn't have wonderful Christmases, and we reached out to St. Thomas Church. They helped with one of our children, give some presents. We really try to, take care of the child and the family. Typical day at Keeps, our kids are met by our staff at each school. We pick up from Mamaroneck Avenue School, Daniel Warren, and Bellows, all the Village of Mamaroneck schools. We have to unfortunately wait 20 to 30 minutes at each school for buses because we're contracted through Mamaroneck for buses. If we went on our own to get buses, it would be about $250 to $300 a day, which would basically put us out of business. We could not afford it. So thankfully, Mamaroneck has always allowed us to kind of piggyback on top of their contract, but we just have to wait till they're done with their runs. So we make it work. Our kids sit, they play, they start their homework. They're with our staff from the moment they're released from the schools to the moment the parents come pick them up. When our kids arrive at our center, we're so fortunate that we have dedicated space that we can have all of our activities starting at once. Kids do not have to immediately eat. They do not have to immediately go do homework. They have their choice of how they want to begin their after-school experience. Some kids need to sit down, some kids need to go eat, some kids have to run around because they've been sitting for 3-4 hours in school. And because we have dedicated space, we're so fortunate that our kids have that flexibility that some other after-school programs do not have. Our parents arrive anywhere from 4:30 to 6:30. And the way that we have our parents pick up is that they come up and they use a fingerprint system. All of our kids have to be fingerprinted. All of our parents have to be, our kids, not yet, please God. All of our parents have to be fingerprinted. They come in, they use their thumbprint, their pointer finger. It communicates with our billing system, with our attendance system. It keeps our daily record of who comes to pick up those children, which is also wonderful for us because it communicates with the Department of Social Services, making my work a little easier when it comes to trying to get paid. Something about Keeps that I particularly love is that we're screen free. No tablets, no computers, no phones. We can't compete with what these kids have at home or at school. And we found over the past few years that kids don't know how to play. They've lost that art. I grew up playing. I grew up having friends outside and being able to come home and play outside with my sisters. That doesn't happen any longer. And at Keeps, we're screen free. Our kids learn how to play Go Fish. Our kids learn checkers. They learn chess, maybe not the right way, but they enjoy it every single day. And they don't, at first some kids are like, why? But when they start to meet other kids that they're gonna be on the fields with till they're in college, and they start making these long-lasting relationships with kids that they're not in their grades, they're not even in their same schools, we start to see kids learn how to talk, how to socialize, how to have a little bit of conflict resolution because they're not face down in a screen playing Angry Birds. That is something, I love that about our program. We try to focus on 4 main values of respect, responsibility, caring, and honesty. We try to instill these into our children. We do have a little program where when we catch you doing something good, we have a little strip and we make a chain and we count it at the end of the year. There's nothing more rewarding than when you see a 5-year-old using a word like, Maureen, Leo was very responsible. He put away his toys. And these are things that unfortunately schools can't focus on any longer because they're too busy focusing on scores. And so during after school, we want our children to enjoy childhood, to play, to look back and remember these were the good days. It wasn't always stressful about, Common Core and things like that, but that they had time to play, to learn, and, to really become a good citizen. That's pretty much what our program is about. That Keeps in a little snippet.
Good morning. For those of you who don't know me, and I recognize so many faces here, I'm Susan Riley from the Mamaroneck Public Library. And I'd like to acknowledge my colleague, Michelle Magnotta. Wave your hand high so people can see you. Michelle is one of our bilingual librarians. So if you have some questions, please see me or Michelle afterwards. I'm going to be very brief because I know that we have a variety of people speaking. And I'm going to also kind of speak a little bit for the Larchmont Library because we do so many similar things. Families that live in the Mamaroneck School District are one of the most fortunate groups of people in this country, I think. We are blessed. We are absolutely blessed with outstanding schools and wonderful libraries. There are so many programs that we offer for after school for our children, the children in our communities. We try and have a balance between STEM types of programs, educational focused on science, education, math, those sorts of things, and the arts, because we feel that this is equally as important. We want our children to develop language skills. We want them to appreciate the fine arts and the textile arts and all those other sorts of things. I have passed out a white paper, okay, which lists some of our after-school programs, as well as we have a pink calendar just for the month of February, and it's just as an example of the types of programs that we offer for our after-school crowd. In addition, we have many programs for our teens. We have an outstanding teen librarian who constantly has all kinds of creative things for our teenagers. But please keep in mind that when you refer your clients, your customers, your friends to the libraries, that young children must be accompanied by an adult or guardian. Okay, we all the libraries in the county experience a problem sometimes of children who have been dropped off for an entire day with no food, no money, no phones, nothing, and unfortunately, you know, they're kind of lost, and we can't be responsible for their safety. These are big buildings with all sorts of people in them. So please just keep that in mind, okay? I hope that you enjoy your library, that you come and visit us soon, and that you refer lots and lots of your friends and neighbors and clients to come and visit us. All of our programs are free, okay? So there are a lot of people who unfortunately have difficulties financially. We are here to serve the community. And please give us feedback. Please come and visit us. We love you guys, and we want to do our best for you. Thank you so much.
Hello, I'm Laura Eckley, and I am the director of the Larchmont Public Library. And I do have a little bit of laryngitis, so I'm glad that Susan spoke so eloquently about what the libraries in our district, in our school district, are offering to the community. And we have very similar programs at the Larchmont Library to what the Mamaroneck Library offers. I will just echo what Susan said, which is that we do not function as child care in the way that the KEEPS program does. That's a very different type of program. What we're able to offer in our libraries are special after-school programs for school-aged children. During the mornings, of course, we have a wide variety of programs for toddlers and caregivers. But after school, we're able to offer programs that last for about an hour that children come to, and we do expect that if they're under the age of 9, they are coming with a caregiver who's over the age of 18. Good qualifying, because sometimes a 10-year-old is expected to take care of a younger child, and that's really not something that we're prepared. We can't allow that. You have to be 18 to be a caregiver, according to us. So what we offer are really not regularly scheduled programs the way that the school has wonderful after-school programs. The town recreation department has wonderful programs that are on a weekly schedule or a monthly schedule. What we offer are more sort of add-on programs where we might have something that celebrates a holiday. We offer do-it-yourself crafts that are out a lot of the time. We do have program series that run in the summer. We offer chess and cartooning and a number of other programs depending on what the summer reading game theme is for that year. But in general, we ask people to check our calendars. We have a Susan has a lovely pink calendar. We have an orange calendar. Neon seems to be the theme for libraries. And we also send out a newsletter every month that highlights all of our programs that are coming up. And people can look on our website for different age groups. We have our calendar broken out by age group for these special programs that we have. And I also just want to say that we're just a wonderful space for people to use. And that's something that we see more and more in both of our libraries, that people are coming just for a third space. It's not school, it's not work, it's not home, it's the library. And they come there to read, to use our Wi-Fi, or to have their child be tutored. Right now, as most of you know, the main building of the Larchmont Public Library is under renovation. And we knew that a lot of people used our building for tutoring, but it's really been highlighted for us because we're in such a small space now. We have a meeting room that every day after school is just absolutely filled with children and their tutors. And to see them all in one room as opposed to being scattered throughout the library, we're really realizing how important just the space is for parents that are looking for a place for their children to be tutored. And now I will pass the mic.
Just going to wrap it around so I don't knock anything over. My name's Nicole Mazzucci. I'm the Director of Family and Employer Services at the Child Care Council of Westchester. For those of you who don't know, we're a nonprofit organization who assists families in locating child care. We're also the registrars or regulators of certain modalities of child care. We're contracted through the Office of Children and Family Services, which is the main licensors, as Anne-Marie mentioned. We also do a significant amount of training and professional development for the child care community. So we really consider ourselves the hub of child care for Westchester County. When you're looking at a community with like Larchmont, Mamaroneck area, there's are few options for families, so you're aware of what options are available typically, and I quickly looked at how many slots there are, regulated slots I should say, for child care in this area. And for school-age children, there's 187 child care slots. 160 of those are in the child care center school-age programs, KEEPS being one of them. There are some options there for school-age children. However, though, I also looked on the American Fact Finder and saw that there was 2,300 children between the ages of 5 and 9. So when there is a statistical factor that states like 50% of those children will most likely need child care. I don't know if that's fully true. That's between birth and 12 years old, so I can't say if that's fully true for school-age children. But that's stating to you that there are possibly 1,000 school-age children here in this small community where that may need child care. So where are those children if there's only 187 slots? And yeah, we know. Yes. But that's a very big question, and it's not only true for this community, it's actually true for many other communities. And it really is about what works for each individual family. As Anne-Marie mentioned, there are some families who need to pick up their children at 6 o'clock because they're working in the city, they're coming back, they want to know their children are secure and safe in the same environment, with the same people, the same routine over and over again. And then there's some other families who have the flexibility where they just need that little extra hour and a half at the end of the day, where an after-school program either offered by the school or by the library with supervision would be available and workable for them. So it's interesting, like if you really want to know what parents want, you really would have to do like a true study in this area to figure that out. I can tell you that Westchester County has an abundance of child care slots, even though it doesn't meet what the factual figure says that 50% of all children need child care, because we can also tell you that most of our child care programs are not full to capacity, and the struggles that Anne-Marie and Noreen were talking about related to DSS payments coming 2 months after you provide the service, just trying to meet your needs. If you don't have your full capacity, you're not able to meet your financial needs of the program either. So there is many issues with financial stability with many child care programs in Westchester County. We did do a survey of Westchester recently. This is a parent survey. So we had over 600 families, parents, I should say, who responded. There's a couple of them around the table. But in this, we found out the biggest factor is that parents are struggling with the cost of childcare. No matter their income, whether they're low income receiving some assistance, they're still struggling. Whether they're the families right above that income level of poverty, they're still struggling. Or the medium household income of working parents, they are also struggling. So cost is not only a factor for the feasibility, financial feasibility for a program, but it's also a factor for parents. Most parents look at location as the top factor on why they're choosing a program. I find that that's very true for school-age children. As Anne-Marie mentioned, transportation is a major factor in that. Every school district is different, so depending on what the school district criteria is, what the program can work out, there are limitations to that. I wanted to add on, so you can look at this, I'm not going to get too much into it. The other 27 per se school age slots are in family child care providers. These are people, which is another type of option for a family. These are people who are regulated to do care in their own home. They've been same types of regulations as the school age programs and centers, but staff are trained, there are background checks done, they are licensed by the state. So these are another option for working families that need the after-school care. Sometimes if the families need care later than 6 or so, that might be a more feasible option. So when I mentioned earlier that we're the hub for childcare, one of the services we provide is to parents, and it's a free service. We have a database that has all the regulated childcare programs on it, and we connect parents to their individual needs, their location, the age of their child, the hours they need care. We have a nice mapping system if that's what they need, close within a 1 mile radius of their home. Whatever it is, we try to help parents. And we talked about babysitters a little bit. They do tend to be a little bit more expensive, but if you're a family who has 2 or 3 children, it may be more financially feasible for you to find someone to come to your home, but you also have to do your homework in making sure that person is qualified, that they are doing some training, that you can do your own background check, because those individuals, nanny, in-home care, are not regulated by the state, but it's still an option for parents. But parents have to do more due diligence in making sure that this person is appropriate and safe for their child and to be caring for their child. So I also just did, in our database, I did a quick reference check to see how many families from Larchmont, Mamaroneck have actually reached out to our referral service and what their needs were. I can tell you about 12% were seeking after-school care, 5% were about for just before school care, so there does seem like there is a little bit of need for before school care as well. And also that 3 or 4%, it varied, were Spanish-speaking families as well, so that's something else you need to look into. Most of the families a good portion of the families that we did follow up with were able to find care in this area, so that's a good thing. So I know when I was first asked to speak, what are parents looking for? They're looking for location, they're looking for cost, they're looking for quality. Whether or not there's a need and parents aren't finding what they're looking for, you all are in the community, you have a better sense of that, or you need to do a real study to find out whether or not the needs are being met. But regulated care is something we promote. After school programs, if they fit the parents' need, safe, secure, those are other things you can look at. So, thank you. No. Lindsay is the Assistant Director of Provider Services. As I mentioned, we regulate some of the child care programs. After school age programs is part of in our jurisdiction, I guess is a good way to put it. So Lindsay is here. She is expert beyond expert in our agency about the regulations. So if questions come up, she'll be able to provide clarity on that as well.
So could we have a moment to speak about Children's Corner? The director of Children's Corner is Barbara Miglianico. Got that? Miglianico. Very good. Rolled off my tongue. Children's Corner was also founded in 1983 under the auspices of the Larchmont Mamaroneck Committee of Family and Youth, which I don't think exists anymore. Does anyone know if it does? I don't think so. And the purpose was to provide a quality program housed in the school setting to meet the community's after-school care needs. They are not-for-profit, similar to KEEPS, and every one of these types of programs has the option to apply to the school system to be located there, and the school system has a three-tiered structure regarding rent and compensation. And Children's Corner, which services 100% of Mamaroneck children, would be in either no rent or it's tier 1. Okay, the difference with KEEPS is that they service Rye-Neck, so they become tier 2, and that's slightly different, but we've looked into that. But Children's Corner is actually located in the Hommocks, so they bus their children from Central, Chatsworth, and Murray. They run a early morning program in all the grammar schools from 7:30 to 8:40 a.m. The after-school program runs from 3 to 6 or 6:30. Snack is only provided in the afternoon. Their rates range from $95 to $310 for the morning on a sliding scale based upon the number of days you need, 1 to 5 mornings per week. And in the afternoon, it runs from $155 to $610 or $760 for 1 to 5 days per week, depending on if you need till 6 or 6:30. It seemed that Barbara is pretty much wrapping up by 6 p.m. And not at this present time having children as late as 6:30. They do offer scholarships to families in need. They do not have any DSS students right now. She indicated that she has very few 5-day-a-week children. Their enrollment has been consistent over the last 4 to 5 years, but approximately 5 years ago, when we had the major economic downturn, which also affected KEEPS, Children's Corner lost a lot of students and has not returned to those numbers. The funding is exclusively based from tuition, and they operate on a budget of approximately $195,000. There are approximately 10 children at each school. Central is the largest with 12 to 15. Murray and Chatsworth are the balance with 7 to 9 each, but these are all averages and they change constantly. Okay. The activities, every day we offer basic activities such as arts, crafts, science, reading, creative play. They also include some STEAM or STEM activities, dance, music. Everything is done in the Hommocks cafeteria, which brings up the other issue I'm sure Barbara needs to set up and take everything, break down at the end, because she has to use her own supplies. So that, I'm sure, is a little bit more difficult for her. And the issues that she raised, the busing was the big issue for her. And the district, which I can't comment on more, but we used to run our own transportation, now it's outsourced, so apparently that's been an issue for both programs. But a couple things that I wanted to highlight before we move on. I think we can see that every program has been required to get better. I mean, look at how many programs they have at the two libraries. When you look at 20 years ago, maybe they had story time for toddlers, and now they have bilingual reading, book clubs for all different ages. So I think that upping the ante has been required for almost every level that affects our children. The one other thing I wanted to comment: libraries are not dying. I love, right? They're a great. Very busy, so that's a good thing. So now if we have questions, we can have our guests answer. Yes?
I have 2 questions. First, what do the libraries do with the kids that are just dropped off? And the second question is, I think KEEPS and others are wonderful in that you keep the costs down, but I wonder what minimum wage families do if they're not DSS. So
Okay. So we have two questions. Will the library go first? What do they do in these situations where they have an unsupervised child? And then the second question was directed towards keeps. How do these minimum wage families survive on what the finances that they're presented with?
So fortunately for us, it doesn't happen very often because we are very clear and upfront. We have it in a lot of our material that children are expected to come with a caregiver if they're 8 and under. However, it does happen sometimes where we'll find that a 5-year-old has walked to the library and is just sort of hanging out all day, and usually, to be honest, they're a little bit lonely. You know, maybe they're looking for a little bit of attention, so it becomes very obvious to us very quickly that somebody very little is there unattended. So usually, what we try to do is deal with it directly right away. We might call the parent and just let them know our policy, because most of the time it's just a situation where the parent is unaware of the policy. We did have a situation last year where the parent was unaware that the child was actually coming to the library alone because they had been left in the care of another sibling, and it was addressed immediately. Our policy is that if it continues, we would contact the Larchmont Police Department and let them handle it.
We do pretty much the same thing in the Mamaroneck Library. We attempt to contact the parents, let them know. You know, it can be a very dangerous situation. We once had a 5-year-old escort his 3-year-old sibling, and was trying to spend the entire day in our library. No food, no money, no phone, difficult to reach the parents. It was a dangerous situation, so we try and avoid that, of course.
To answer part of the second question, I hope you don't mind that I'm jumping in, but that's something we hear all the time. And that's why I said, where are the children? That is a huge question for Westchester County, not just this area. And I think libraries, you know, is one of the sources that family use. Some libraries do not have the same policies or don't practice the same methods when a child comes unattended. We know that there are many illegal child care programs in Westchester County, so that is a huge concern for us. A lot of times you're looking at neighbors or friends or older siblings who are caring for these children, and those families, the minimum wage families who choose not to apply for DSS or can't for various different reasons, they're using other options that are not necessarily safe or healthy or good for the child's development. Really is what's happening to those children, and those are the most neediest children as well in Westchester. So it is a huge concern, not just in this community but all over Westchester County. And there are, you know, Children's Corner mentioned scholarships. You know, the council also offers scholarships, so sometimes there are some resources for these families, but it's very, very limited. So I just wanted to add on to that.
If we come across parents who can't afford to pay our fees, the first thing we try to do is direct them to DSS. A lot of parents are reluctant to do that because it's a tedious process. Some parents who have difficulty expressing themselves in the English language are kind of shy to do this. So we try to help them with the process. That's first step. Second step is if that doesn't work out, we will offer them a scholarship that hopefully can meet their needs. I think that's really important. And I'd like to say maybe to the libraries, if you have people who are consistently dropping off their kids, you might want to give them a brochure and and you know, really let them know that maybe they don't know what's available, and you know, we'll be very happy to work with them.
So one thing that I wanted to emphasize here is we'd like to see more children in the program, and I know Barbara would mirror that. And I remember at the beginning of this school year, one day at the very beginning, it's the new school year, things are coming up, bus problems, just typical beginning of the year. And Noreen said, well, I have one child who wasn't enrolled who's been sent to Keeps, and she had to deal with this child that just showed up, no forms, similar to what happens at the library. And I think if we let parents know that this service was out there, that they can utilize it, they don't have to be afraid, there's actually a safety net that can help them, that we might see more of the children. And we focused a lot on children with economic issues, but it's a whole range of kids who are using these programs. And the socialization factor is huge. And when my son goes, he's playing board games, he's making friends, and it's completely true that these kids have less socialization tools than we did as children. They don't go outside and play a game and just, pick up ball or something. They tend to do screen time, Minecraft. And it is nice to drop him off at Keeps and or pick him up from Keeps, and they played chess, and and he has a friend who's 5 and he has a friend who's 10. So he's making little buddies that it's very good for him. Did anyone else? Yes, Jane. Okay, and then we'll get Jane's question.
In relation to what Christy just said, when I was reading the paper about a week ago, there was a cartoon in the paper, Family Circus, and the oldest sister has a deck of cards in her hand, and she says to her little brother, "It's a deck of cards." This is where people kept games before they invented cell phones and computers.
Jane?
I noted that Mamaroneck school is left out of
The Mamaroneck school? No, just to clarify.
I'm sorry if that wasn't clear. Keeps program picks up from Mamaroneck Avenue School, Daniel Warren, and Bellows. And they're probably one of our biggest enrollees.
Right. Keeps is 75% Mamaroneck School District and 25. What is the percentage?
Those are about 60-40 this year from Rhinebeck, 40% to 60%.
60-40. 60% from Mamaroneck, 40 from Rhinebeck. Yes, Marilyn.
I would love to hear comments from the experts about what happens come mid-June. All programs cease, the summer is upon us, and specifically the incredible summer camp, co-op camp that has been such a wonderful thing, but it's now in jeopardy in terms of budgetary problems, etc. Is there any way to help raise a voice for the importance of the continuation of the kinds of things you all are doing in these after-school programs? The value of this to many of us is just so great, but it's very threatening.
So Marilee is asking the speakers to comment on summer options and the possible demise of co-op camp. And I think I'd like you to comment. I think this has been affected by the number of options available to families, which is affecting enrollment. So there you go.
Years ago, we used to have a summer program, but our summer program evolved of picking up kids from camps, after camps, because we could never compete with the prices that co-op camp charges. We don't get subsidized, so we always ran an after-camp program in the summer to extend the hours. However, one summer when we had to move our facility, we needed to close down for the summer because we had to move. And because of that, we helped parents find other alternatives. And parents went to the Y, they found other things for their kids to do. And it became, the next year, we had a hard time following up with our program again. And what happened was the kids liked the change because it was something different. The Y has swimming all the time. We can't offer that. So we did try that, and now we no longer run the summer program, which is unfortunate, but it's, the way it is. Well, I know co-op camp is important for a lot of students, especially those who can't afford other camps, because I don't know what the fee is that parents pay, but I know it's very, very little. So it's an essential program for our neediest kids in the community, and I would hate to see it not happen.
I hope that's an agreement with everyone. It's a tough battle right now.
I'm snaking this thing around, so it might take a moment to disentangle myself afterwards. But I wanted to point out that the libraries in this whole county, we're very fortunate. We have summer programs all, through from the day school stops all the way to the end of the summer. Besides the weekly summer reading game programs, which involve things like art programs, fashion shows, making slime, and all kinds of other fun sorts of things. We also have bedtime stories, We have picnic stories. We do outreach to the beach, at the harbor swimming area, and we do all kinds of fun things like that. Recently, we're working with the Marine Center. So we've got lots of things going on for all the children during the summertime.
Nicole, can you comment upon the summer options and things you see as childcare hurdles for specifically summer issues? I mean, we have to remember some school districts, not necessarily here, but in cities, have often contemplated full year school to address the problem of kids being unattended during the summers. So that doesn't really present itself here in Larchmont, Mamaroneck, but we do see children that are not being cared for in the summer, and it's something that we're trying to prevent.
Hi. So there are, as we were talking about camps, there are a significant amount of camp options actually throughout Westchester County, and I think many of them do offer transportation, if I'm recalling correctly. Not necessarily that it's not inexpensive though for families. So our referral department does assist families with summer care options, and their camp obviously is one just for the summer, but many school-age programs do operate full year round, so they do offer full-day care during the summer as well. So there's some continuity of care with the same children staying in the same location in the school buildings, or very different recreational programs that are school-age specific. Family child care, once again, does offer, many of them, we have over 400 in the county, offer full day care all year round. So that is another option. It may not meet the same criteria of what parents are looking for that change during the summer, but it is an option for families. So they're similar to what's available on a regular basis, is available, except with the camp option added in there for the summertime. I think cost is the biggest factor when it comes to summer care for families. And I just want to point out, there's a Smart Child Care. Lindsay, would you mind holding that up? These are pamphlets that talk about our options, like for families and looking for child care. Those are available, that I can give you packets of them, holders as well, that if you're someplace where you know there might be a need of families knowing what child care options they have, I can supply those to you. So I just want to plug that in there. Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
My name is Mia Sherry, and what I got from the library is that you have to be coming in from the age of 9 with an adult or a caregiver. So what do you do with kids that are under this age that you want to take your summer program, but the parents is working?
Can you repeat the question? Do you mind?
Sure. So the question was, for children that are under the age of 9, who want to participate in the summer reading program, but whose parents work and who maybe are in full-time childcare, how can they participate? And the answer is that we are open. The Larchmont Library is open 2 nights a week. I believe Mamaroneck is as well. We're open Saturdays during the summer, and all of the times that we're open, we have programs available, as well as our summer reading game program is independently done. You come into the library and you pick up the materials and then you read at home.
No, I know exactly what you mean, but it really doesn't solve the problem of like the co-op camp, of something for the kids to do in the summer that under supervision and under, I'm just exploring other ideas.
Right, so
it's
the
really
question
not
is,
disruptive.
for the kids that are in camp and maybe the parents can't bring them at night or on the weekend, we do outreach with the camps, and they are welcome to bring groups to the library, and some of them do, some of the nursery schools do as well.
For children who do not go to camp and don't have other child care options during the summer, we do restrict them to not coming to the library unattended without a guardian. just because of the variety of, I mean, we want our kids to be safe. We really, really want the children to be safe, and so we try and provide them with a healthy, safe environment that, but the fact is that anyone can use the library. Right now, we both have issues with, due to the cold weather, with people who don't have, adults who don't have a place to stay, people who are homeless. And, you know, we try and manage that so that everyone in the building is very, very safe.
I think just to add on that, I think it's important to remember that libraries are not necessarily a substitute for childcare, but they're an extracurricular activity. So when you're dealing with working parents, they do need another outlet or another source to provide supervision for their children, and the library is not necessarily that option.
John? Yes.
What's obvious from all this is that you're filling in huge numbers of gaps, but there are still gaps out there that are hard to fill. I'm horrified at the thought of a 5-year-old bringing in a 3-year-old sibling. I'm much more preoccupied, and I don't know if this is a problem. With this 15, 16, and 17-year-old who's being left with his sibling, taking care of his sibling because he comes from a single parent family that's working, or she comes from a two-family with both parents are working, or God forbid, she's a single mother who's 17 years old. Are there ways to fill up those gaps?
Well, we have a policy of 16 years old. I know that Larchmont has 18, but we do have a 16-year-old policy as a guardian. So it's a little bit more helpful to some people.
So I just want to repeat what John said because it was, what we're doing here is issue spotting. And when I asked this lovely panel to come, I said, wait till you see who's in attendance. It's everyone who's anyone in a community, in organizations that, as John put it, fill the gaps. So we're not offering an answer to everything, but we've highlighted what the real profile of child care for after-school care is. First of all, there is a need, and children need to be watched who are school-aged. I have seen children on the playground at MAS with no supervision. So they play on the playground, and then somebody says, just go back to the house when you're done, and call me so I know you're there. I mean, that's how they handle childcare. It's a latchkey situation. That's not appropriate, and we have so many resources here. We need to try to get those children into a structured program where they're supervised. But it isn't something that's easy, and parents who have the ability to make a phone call to the child care counselor or check on the internet, we know there are families that don't have a computer, who don't know how to use it. So we want to get the word out there so we can increase attendance. And we also want to help these organizations stay in business. Marilee.
One possible suggestion, I don't think anyone's here from the school board, which I regret. They really tried to get here. In any case, on the 23rd this month, the school board meeting, 7:30 at night, over at the high school, is dealing with poverty in the district. It would seem to me it would be very helpful if as many of us from all the different groups we represent would attend this, see what they're dealing with, and try to help them prioritize. And when it comes to something like co-op, we have the value, it's a district kind of thing. Therefore, I don't want to have people feel confused. It goes broader than Mamaroneck School District.
So Marilee has brought to our attention that on the 23rd, the school board will have a program on poverty in the district. I think what I would like to suggest is that the social workers from the schools, they are aware of these programs, and if they become aware of a child that is being left in not a good situation, they direct them to these programs. And I know our organization, I know Barbara does it as well, but one other example I wanted to give, Noreen has provided supervised visits. I mean, I can tell you you would be surprised who, maybe it's a very bad divorce, maybe some criminal charge, and the parent has lost custody. And how heartbreaking is that? So she is trained and she has had supervised visits at Keep so the parent can see their child. So there are things that come up that you can't even imagine that they deal with. So I think I want to thank everyone who's spoken here today. I think it was a great program. And if anyone wants to make announcements, we kind of abbreviated that in the beginning. Maybe you could come up, Jeff. Mr. Megan. Counselor.
You'll have a great tidbit next month because I'll have a whole month to rework it. But I want to plug because we're on Local Live. We're on LMC TV right now, but Local Live, last week we had flooding in Mamaroneck, which was a great program. And this week, in honor of Valentine's Day, we have a topic, matchmaking through your zodiac sign. Very important. Julie Reed and Diane Lyris are going to be our guests, and we expect a number of call-ins. You can Twitter or email or call. But the real good program is that and David will back this up, is that on February 25th, there is a meeting in Mamaroneck on flooding, and it'll be the presentation of the Army Corps of Engineers. It will be held at the Emlyn Theater because of an expected crowd, and it'll be on a Thursday night, and therefore Local Live will be there live at that show, and you can call in to us and Twitter and email, and we'll answer your questions. You may get somebody on the phone who will answer your questions. So look for that show. It's a very special occasion for us, for the village of Mamaroneck, and the town, and for Local Live. Thanks a lot. No, I'm not doing my tidbit at the very end. Come on. You're going to have a good one next month.
Thank you all for coming, and get home safely. And come next month for our program on, what's our program next month? Community, right.
Obama's big push for community colleges makes Westchester Community College more important than ever, and we're going to find out more about that, and then the needs in our own high school where kids who either are not college ready or don't have
Right.
finance.
Have a safe trip home. Bye-bye.